One ordinary night, Daniel, a struggling single dad, never expected a simple food delivery to turn his world upside down. A little girl ran into his arms, calling him daddy, and suddenly he was thrust into a mansion filled with wealth, secrets, and heartbreak. Torn between protecting her and keeping his own life together, he must confront dangers he never imagined, while discovering that fatherhood isn't about blood, but about love, trust, and sacrifice. Can one man heal two children and himself at the same time? If you believe in life-changing second chances, like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. I pulled up to the mansion with my old car, rattling like it might give up on me right there at the gate. My son sat in the back seat, leaning against a window, half asleep. Another late delivery, another long night. I told myself, just one more, then home. The gate opened slowly after I pressed the buzzer, and the sight of the place made my chest tighten. White stone walls, glass windows that stretched higher than some buildings in town. I swallowed hard. Dad, my son mumbled, rubbing his eyes. People really live in castles like this? Guess so, buddy, I said, forcing a smile. But we don't belong in castles. We just deliver to them. I parked near the steps and grabbed the food bag, the smell of roasted chicken and butter bread spilling out. My stomach growled, but I shook it off. This wasn't for us. I climbed the steps, knocked on the massive wooden door, and waited. My boy trailed behind, tugging at my shirt. Then it happened. The door creaked open just a little, and before I could even call out, a small figure burst through. A girl, maybe 6 or 7, with dark hair flying loose. She ran straight at me, arms out. "Daddy!" she cried, her voice breaking like she'd been waiting forever. Before I could react, she wrapped herself around my waist. My whole body went stiff. "Hey, wait," I stammered, looking down at her. "I think you got the wrong guy." But she just held tighter, sobbing into my shirt. My son blinked beside me, whispering, "Dad, what's happening?" "I don't know," I whispered back, frozen. The sound of heels echoed against the marble floor inside, sharp and commanding. And then she appeared, a woman tall, perfectly dressed in a navy suit, her hair pinned back like every strand had to obey. Her eyes were cold, calculating, the kind of eyes that look straight through you. She stopped dead when she saw me. And her daughter. "What?" Her voice cut the air like glass. "Why are you holding my child?" I threw up my free hand. "Ma'am, I swear I didn't." She just ran out here. The little girl looked up at me, her tear-streaked cheeks shining under the porch light. "Don't leave me again, Daddy. Please." My throat closed. My chest ached. I had never seen this child in my life, and yet the desperation in her voice made something inside me crack. "Listen," I said quickly, turning to the woman. "I'm just a delivery guy. She must have mistaken me for someone else." But the girl only clung harder, burying her face in me. My son whispered, "Dad, she's scared. Look at her." I did. And God help me, I saw it. The same emptiness I'd seen in my boy's eyes when his mom died. That hollow place only love can fill. The woman CEO's eyes narrowed, sharp as a knife. "What is going on here?" I shook my head. "I don't know. But I swear to you, I've never met her before tonight." "Then explain this." She gestured to the girl, her jaw tight. "Explain why my daughter is calling a stranger daddy." I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. My heart was still hammering from the weight of the girl's tiny arms around me. "Ma'am," I said finally, voice rough, "I wish I could explain, but I can't." The little girl whimpered, holding me even tighter. And in that moment, standing under the cold glare of the mansion lights, I realized this was no ordinary delivery. I had walked into something far bigger than me, something I didn't understand. The CEO's voice dropped low, almost shaking, though her face stayed hard. "You're not leaving," she said. "Not until I know why my daughter thinks you're her father." Her words pinned me in place. "You're not leaving. Not until I know why my daughter thinks you're her father." I froze on the steps, my delivery bag still dangling from my hand. My son squeezed my fingers tighter, whispering, "Dad, can we just go home?" "I want to." I muttered under my breath. But it's not that simple. The CEO stepped closer, her heels clicking like a judge walking toward the guilty. Her eyes never left mine. Explain yourself, she demanded. Who are you? How does my daughter know you? I swallowed hard. My name's Daniel. I'm just a delivery driver. That's it. I don't know your daughter. I swear. Her face didn't soften. You expect me to believe that? The little girl still had her arms locked around me, shaking her head fiercely. Don't lie, Daddy. You came back for me. I knew you would. My chest tightened. God, why does she believe this? Ma'am, I said carefully, try not to sound offensive. I'm a single dad. I've got one child, him. I pointed to my son, who stood half hidden behind me. That's my whole world. I've never been here before tonight. The CEO folded her arms. Then why is my daughter clinging to you as if her life depends on it? I glanced down. The girl's tiny hands were trembling as they clutched my shirt. Her tears had soaked through the fabric. My boy looked at her with wide, worried eyes. He tugged on my sleeve. Dad, she looks lonely. Those words hit me like a punch, because I knew exactly what lonely looked like. I'd seen it every night in the mirror. I'm not trying to cause trouble, I said softly, looking at the CEO again. Maybe she saw me and thought I was someone else. Kids get confused sometimes. Her jaw tightened. My daughter doesn't get confused. She's just a little girl. I said, look at her. She's hurting. I don't know why she thinks I'm her dad, but maybe what she needs right now isn't answers. Maybe it's comfort. Her eyes flickered, just for a second, as though my words cut through her armor. But then her voice sharpened again. Comfort from a stranger? No, she doesn't know you, and I don't trust you. Then watch me. I shot back. I'm not here to hurt her. Or you. The girl sniffled and looked up at me. Daddy, don't leave me again. Promise. My throat burned. I crouched down, meeting her big tear-filled eyes. Sweetheart, I whispered, I'm not your daddy. I wish I understood why you think I am, but I'm not. Her lip trembled. She shook her head violently. Yes, you are. I know it. The CEO's face darkened. Enough. She reached for her daughter, but Lily was at her name, buried her face into me and screamed. No, don't take him away. My son flinched at the sound, clutching my arm. Dad, he whispered. She scared. Please don't leave her like that. I looked at him, then back at the girl. For a moment, it was as if time froze. I remember the nights after my wife died, when my boy cried until his voice gave out. He only stopped when I held him close. That kind of pain wasn't about logic. It was about survival. I sighed and wrapped one arm gently around the girl. It's okay, I murmured, even though I had no idea if it was. You're safe. The CO stared at me, stunned. Her mouth opened, then closed again. She didn't move. Finally, she said coldly, Fine. Stay. Stay until she calms down. But don't think for a second this conversation is over. Her voice was sharp, but I could see it. The tiniest flicker of relief in her eyes. I nodded slowly. I don't want to fight. I'll stay, just until she's okay. My son leaned against me, whispering, Dad, what's going on? Why does she think you're her dad? I don't know, buddy, I whispered back, but we'll figure out. The little girl's grip softened, her sobs slowing. She leaned her head against me like she'd found her place. And me? I stood there caught between two worlds, my own broken one and this mansion's secrets, knowing I had just stepped into something I might never escape. The CEO's words still echoed in my ears as she shut the heavy front door behind us. Stay inside. We're not finished. I shifted the food bag awkwardly in one hand, my son's hand in the other, and the little girl, Lily, I soon learned, still clutching my shirt like I was her anchor. The marble floor reflected the chandelier's glow above us. Everything inside the mansion looked perfect, too perfect. Polished, spotless, cold. No warmth, no mess, nothing like a home where a child should grow up. Lily sniffled, her voice muffled against me. Daddy, I missed you. I froze. Sweetheart, I'm not. Don't say that, she cried, lifting her head and glaring at me through wet lashes. You are my daddy. I know it. I glanced at the CEO, who stood with her arms folded, her stare sharp enough to cut stone. My daughter's name is Lily, she said flatly, and she doesn't hug strangers. Ever. So tell me, Daniel, why you? I don't know, I admitted, my voice low. I've never seen her before tonight. Maybe she sees something familiar in me. Or maybe you're lying. Anger flared in my chest, but I swallowed it back. Ma'am, if I wanted to lie my way into a mansion, this isn't how I do it. My son tugged at my sleeve, whispering, Dad, maybe she just doesn't have anybody else. Those words made my chest ache. He knew what it was like to have nobody. I knelt down to Lily's level. Hey, Lily, can I ask you something? She nodded, wiping her eyes. Why do you think I'm your dad? Her little hands twisted together. Because you came back. Mommy said he left and wasn't coming back. But I knew he would. And then you came. The room tilted. For a second, it was like I'd been shoved back years, to the hospital bed where my wife whispered that she wouldn't make it, and my son asked me why she wouldn't come back. That same hollow voice. That same desperate hope. I blinked hard, forcing myself to stay grounded. Lily, I don't want to lie to you. I'm not your father. Her lip quivered. She shook her head. Yes, you are. I can feel it. I didn't know what to say. My boy stepped closer, gently patting her shoulder. It's okay, he whispered. Sometimes dads leave, but sometimes other dads stay. I stared at him, stunned. He'd never spoken about his mom's absence so openly. His words cracked something open inside me. Lily sniffled, leaning against him now, and for the first time she laughed, just a small laugh, but real. My son grinned back, like he'd been waiting for someone to laugh with too. I caught myself smiling, then quickly glanced at the CEO. Her arms had dropped, her face unreadable. But her eyes, they softened just a little. Enough for tonight, she finally said, her voice quieter. She's calmer. You can go. I should have felt relief. Instead, my chest felt heavier. As I stood, Lily grabbed my sleeve again. Will you come back tomorrow? My heart sank. Lily, please, she begged, eyes wide and wet. Don't disappear again. My son looked up at me, silently pleading too. I hesitated, then sighed. We'll see, okay? The CEO's gaze locked on me. She didn't say no. She didn't say anything at all. But the silence spoke louder than words. I told myself I wouldn't come back. After that strange night, I drove home with my son and tried to convince both him and myself that it was just another delivery, just another house, just another rich family with problems I had no place in. But all night, Lily's little voice echoed in my head, Daddy, don't disappear again. By morning, I was still restless. My son sat at the kitchen table, chewing on stale cereal. Dad, he mumbled, are we going back? I paused mid-sip of cheap coffee. Back where? You know where. To the mansion. She needs you. I sighed, setting the mug down. She has a mom, son. A mom who probably doesn't want us anywhere near her life. He looked up at me with those eyes, his mother's eyes, full of quiet pleading. But she looked like me when Mom left. Maybe you should go. Just once more. His words cut deeper than I expected. By noon, I found myself back in my beat-up car, the food delivery bag on the passenger seat. My son had school, so it was just me this time. I hated how nervous I felt driving through those iron gates again. The same maid opened the door. She frowned at me like I didn't belong, which I didn't, but she let me in anyway. And there she was, Lily, sitting cross-legged on the marble floor with crayons scattered around her. The moment her eyes landed on me, she bolted upright. You came, she squealed, running and hugging my leg so tightly I nearly lost my balance. I crouched down. Told you I might. She beamed, the kind of smile that could melt ice. Then she grabbed my hand and dragged me inside. Come draw with me. Before I could answer, her mother appeared at the top of the staircase. Perfectly dressed, perfectly cold. Mr. Daniel, she said sharply. We need to talk. I gently pried Lily's hand from mine. Give me a second, sweetheart. The CEO led me into her study, walls lined with books and leather chairs that probably cost more than my car. She didn't sit. Neither did I. I don't know what game you're playing, she began, but my daughter hasn't smiled like that in months. Not since her father. She stopped herself, jaw tightening. I'm not playing any game, I said quietly. I didn't ask her to call me Dad. I didn't want to confuse her. Her eyes narrowed. Then why are you here again? I hesitated. The truth felt too raw. But I said it anyway, because my son asked me to. He said she looked the way he did when his mom left, and I couldn't ignore that. Her expression flickered. Just for a second, something human slipped through the CEO mask. She finally sat, sighing. Lily's father isn't coming back, and she refuses to accept it. I've tried everything, therapy, tutors, even family friends. She shuts everyone out. Except you. I rubbed the back of my neck. So, what do you want from me? She met my eyes. Stay, at least for a while. If you can calm her, help her accept reality. I'll pay you. Pay me? The word stung, like I was a hired actor. Yes, think of it as a job. I thought of rent, bills, my son's worn-out shoes. The money would help, but my pride screamed against it. Before I could reply, Lily burst into the study holding up a messy crayon drawing. Look, it's me, you, and Mommy. We're family again. My throat tightened. The CEO looked away, blinking fast. I looked at Lily and forced a smile. That's beautiful, kiddo. Her little hand slipped into mine again, warm and trusting. And in that moment I knew I couldn't walk away. Not yet. I left the mansion that day with more questions than answers. My hands gripped the steering wheel too tightly as I drove home. Was I really about to get involved in a stranger's family? My son was waiting by the door when I got back, his backpack tossed in the corner. Well, he asked, like he'd been holding his breath all day. I sighed. She wanted me to keep coming back. Said she'd even pay me. His eyes widened. Pay you? To be her dad? Not her dad. Just someone to help her calm down. To help her smile again. He stared at me for a long moment. And what did you say? I rubbed my temples. I didn't say anything. Not yet. He walked closer, lowering his voice. Dad, maybe you should. We could use the money. And maybe it'll be good for both of us. I hated how right he was. Rent was due in 2 weeks. My car could break down any day. And my boy deserved better than secondhand clothes and instant noodles. The next afternoon, I was back at the mansion. The CEO, Ms. Anderson, met me at the door. Have you thought about my offer? She asked. I have, I said carefully. But I don't want to confuse Lily. She needs truth, not false hope. She needs peace, Ms. Anderson countered. If you can give her even a piece of that, I'll consider it worth every cent. Her tone was sharp, businesslike. But her eyes, they were tired, maybe even desperate. Before I could reply, Lily's voice rang out. Daddy, you came back. She ran straight into my arms, almost knocking the breath out of me. Her tiny hands held onto my neck, like she was afraid I'd vanish. Something inside me cracked again. Yeah, kiddo, I murmured. I'm here. Ms. Anderson watched, silent, her arms crossed. But I didn't miss the way her shoulders loosened when Lily laughed. The hours passed quickly. Lily showed me every crayon drawing she'd made, every stuffed animal she kept by her bed. She asked me questions, my favorite food, my favorite color, whether I liked to sing. Can you tuck me in tonight? She asked softly later, when the sky outside turned gold. I hesitated, glancing at Ms. Anderson. To my surprise, she nodded, so I sat on the edge of Lily's enormous bed while she curled under the covers. She held my hand until her breathing slowed, her tiny fingers clutching mine even in sleep. When I finally pulled away, Ms. Anderson was standing in the doorway. Her face was unreadable. You're good with her, she said quietly. I shrugged. I'm just being there. Kids notice when someone stays. For the first time, her eyes met mine without that cold CEO mask. And your son, does he mind sharing you like this? I swallowed hard. He's the one who told me to come. He understands better than most. Something flickered in her gaze. Curiosity, maybe even respect. But she quickly straightened her posture. We'll formalize this tomorrow. I'll arrange payment. I shook my head. Don't make it about money. If I'm doing this, it's because Lily needs it. Because I understand. Her lips parted like she wanted to argue, but instead she simply said, "Good night, Mr. Daniel." That night, driving home, I couldn't shake Lily's small hand in mine or my son's hopeful eyes. I was walking into something I swore I'd avoid, attachment. And I knew attachment always came with pain. The days blurred together after that. Deliveries, school runs, late nights at home, and visits to the mansion. What began as an accident slowly became routine. Every time I stepped through those heavy doors, Lily's face lit up like the sun. "Daddy," she'd cry, launching herself at me. And every time my chest tightened. One afternoon, I brought my son with me. He shuffled nervously in the grand hallway, his sneakers squeaking against the marble. Lily gasped, "You have a boy?" He nodded shyly. "Yeah, I'm Josh." Her eyes widened like she'd just found treasure. "Then you're my brother," she declared, grabbing his hand. Josh looked at me, unsure. I gave him a small nod. "Go on," I whispered. "Play." Within minutes, the two of them were on the floor, surrounded by crayons and toy blocks. Their laughter filled the cold mansion, echoing off the high ceilings like music the house had been starved of. I sat back, watching them, my chest heavy with something I couldn't name. "You're dangerous, Mr. Daniel." Ms. Anderson's voice broke the moment. She stood by the doorway, arms folded. "Dangerous." I frowned. "You walk in here, and suddenly my daughter is laughing, calling you father. Now she thinks your son is her brother. You're weaving yourself into her world." I kept my tone calm. I didn't weave anything. She did. Kids choose who they trust, who they need. Her lips pressed into a thin line. For once, she didn't have a sharp comeback. Later, while the kids built a castle of pillows, she called me into her study. "Why are you really here?" she asked. I took a deep breath. "Because I know what it's like to be left behind. My son knows too. And if being here helps your daughter heal, then maybe it helps us heal a little too." For the first time, her eyes softened. She sank into her chair, rubbing her temples. "You speak like someone who's lived too much pain." "I've lived enough." We sat in silence, the weight of unspoken truths filling the air. When I returned to the living room, Lily was asleep on the couch, her head resting against Josh's shoulder. My boy, my quiet, lonely boy, looked happier than I'd seen in years. He met my eyes, whispering, "She's like us, Dad." I knelt beside him, brushing hair from Lily's forehead. "Yeah," I murmured, "she is." That night, on the drive home, Josh was unusually quiet. Finally, he asked, "Dad, are we going to stay part of their lives? Or will it end like Mom?" His question hit harder than any blow. I gripped the wheel tighter. "I don't know, son, but I promise I won't walk away from you. Never." Out the window, the mansion lights faded into the night. But the bond inside those walls, fragile as glass, was already tying itself around us. And I wasn't sure I wanted to cut it. The more time I spent in that mansion, the less it felt like a stranger's house. Josh and Lily became inseparable. They chased each other through the halls, built forts out expensive couches, and whispered secrets like they'd known each other forever. Their laughter filled corners that had been silent for too long. And Ms. Anderson, Rebecca, as I finally learned her name, wasn't the ice queen I thought she was. She still wore her sharp suits and spoke like a woman who ran empires. But sometimes I caught her watching the kids with an ache in her eyes. One evening, after dinner, Lily tugged at my sleeve. "Daddy, can you read me a bedtime story?" Josh piped up, "I'll read with him." Rebecca hesitated in the doorway. Her lips parted like she wanted to object. But then, with a tired sigh, she nodded. I sat between the two kids, their small shoulders pressed against mine as I read. Lily's head leaned on my arm. Josh's voice echoed alongside mine, and for a moment it felt like family. But when I closed the book, I noticed Rebecca standing there longer than usual. Her eyes weren't cold, they were wet. Later, when the kids were asleep, she poured herself a glass of wine and motioned for me to sit across from her in the study. "You should know," she began quietly. "Lily's father, he didn't just leave. He abandoned her. Us. For someone else." Her voice cracked on the last words. She quickly took a sip, but her hand trembled. "I try to shield her," she continued, "but she's old enough to understand more than I want her to. Every night she asks if he's coming back, and every night I lie." I stayed silent, my throat tight. I thought about Josh, about how many lies I told him when his mother left, hoping to soften the blow. Lies that only deepened the wound later. Finally, I said, "Kids don't need perfection. They just need someone who stays." Her eyes lifted to mine, and for once, there was no steel in them, just exhaustion, and maybe hope. "You stayed," she whispered. I shifted uncomfortably. "For Lily, for my son." "And for yourself?" she asked softly. The question cut too close. I didn't answer. The next day, things felt different. Rebecca was quieter, watching me like she wanted to say more but couldn't. Lily clung to me more fiercely than ever, and Josh, bless him, looked happier every time we walked through those doors. But under the warmth, I felt the cracks forming. This wasn't my world. This wasn't my family. And yet, my heart was slowly betraying me. That night, when I tucked Josh into bed, he whispered, "Dad, do you like her?" "Lily's mom." I froze. "What makes you ask that?" He grinned sleepily. "Because you look at her like you used to look at Mom, before she left." My chest tightened. I brushed his hair back. "Get some sleep, buddy." But as he drifted off, his words echoed in me. Was I letting my guard down? Or was I already too far gone? It started with a phone call. I was in the kitchen with Josh and Lily, helping to make a mess out of pancake batter, when Rebecca's phone rang. She stepped out to answer, but her voice carried down the hall. "Don't call me again," she snapped. Then, after a pause, softer, "No, she doesn't know, and she never will." I froze, spatula in hand. Lily and Josh laughed as flour puffed into the air, but my stomach twisted. Whoever was on the other end of that call wasn't a stranger. When Rebecca returned, her face was pale. She forced a smile at the kids. "Smells good in here." I studied her, the lies sitting heavy in the air. "Everything okay?" I asked. Her eyes flickered to mine, then away. "Fine." But it wasn't fine. That night, after the kids were asleep, I found her in the study, staring at a photo on her desk. It was Lily, smaller, younger, sitting between Rebecca and a man whose face was turned slightly away. "You heard," she said quietly, not looking up. I didn't deny it. "Who was it?" Her hand tightened around the picture frame. "Her father, the man who abandoned us. Now he wants back in." The words hit me like a blow. Back in? After what he did to her? Her eyes glistened. "People like him always come back when it's convenient." I felt anger burning in my chest. I remember the nights Josh cried for his mother. Remember the way she chose her new life over us. Abandonment leaves scars that never fade. Rebecca whispered, "I'm scared, Daniel. If he shows up, Lily will run to him, and she'll break all over again." I stepped closer, my voice low. "Then we don't let him. We protect her. Both of us." She looked up, her eyes locking with mine. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us felt fragile, heavy with something unspoken. But the storm wasn't just outside, it was inside me too. That night, Josh stirred as I tucked him in. "Dad," he murmured, "what if Lily's real dad comes back? Will she still need you?" The question clawed at my chest. "I don't know, son, but you'll always need me, and I'll always be here." He smiled faintly, drifting back to sleep. The next days were uneasy. Rebecca was distracted, her phone always buzzing. Lily clung tighter to me, sensing the shift. Josh grew protective of her, standing close, like a little brother ready to fight off the world. Then one evening, it happened. The mansion gates buzzed. Rebecca's face went pale. I turned to see a sleek black car pull up. A man stepped out, tall, polished, with the same dark hair Lily had. Lily gasped, "Daddy." My heart dropped. Rebecca whispered, "No, Lily, not now." But Lily was already running, and I was already moving. The man's footsteps echoed across the marble like thunder. Lily's tiny arms wrapped around his leg before he even bent down. "Daddy!" she cried. Her face glowed with a joy I hadn't seen before. My chest ached. He crouched, scooping her up easily. "There's my little princess," he said smoothly, his voice honey-coated. Rebecca stood frozen by the staircase, her fists clenched. I could see it, the storm raging in her eyes. But she didn't move. I did. I stepped forward, my voice low but firm. "You don't get to walk in here and act like you never left." He looked up, surprised, and smirked. "And you are someone who's been here while you weren't." His jaw twitched, but he kept smiling. "I'm her father. Blood doesn't change. Nothing you say will." Lily pressed her face into his shoulder, giggling. "I knew you'd come back." Those words stabbed me. I remembered Josh saying the same thing once about his mother. He waited by the window for weeks. She never came. Rebecca finally found her voice. "You don't belong here, Mark. You made your choice." Mark's smile vanished. "I have rights. She's my daughter." I felt Lily's small eyes peek at me over his shoulder, confused, torn. My throat tightened. "You had rights," Rebecca snapped. "And you threw them away when you left her for another woman." His face darkened. "That's between us. Lily doesn't need to hear." "Don't you dare say her name like you love her." I cut in. "Love doesn't abandon. Love doesn't leave scars." Silence fell. Even Lily stopped squirming. Mark stood, still holding her, and stepped closer until we were nearly chest to chest. "You think you matter here? You're nothing. A delivery man, filling in a role you'll never own." I didn't care about titles. I cared about Lily's trembling fingers clutching his shirt like she wasn't sure anymore. Josh's voice broke through the tension. "Don't talk to my dad like that." He stood behind me, fist balled, eyes blazing. "My boy, small but brave." Lily turned her head, looking at him, and for the first time, doubt flickered in her gaze. Rebecca stepped forward, her voice steel. "Get out, Mark. You want to fight? Take me to court. But until then, you don't get to barge into her life whenever it suits you." Mark's eyes darted between us. Rebecca's fury, Josh's defiance, my steady glare. Finally, he set Lily down. She clung to his hand for a second, then slowly let go, her little steps carrying her toward Josh. Mark's face fell. "She deserves stability," Rebecca said, her voice shaking. "And you've never given her that." Mark shoved his hands into his pockets, muttering, "This isn't over." Then he stormed out, the door slamming behind him. The silence afterward was deafening. Lily stood between me and Josh, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Why can't he stay?" she whispered. My chest ached as I knelt. "Sweetheart, sometimes the people we want most are the ones who hurt us the deepest. And sometimes the ones who stay aren't the ones we expected." She sniffled, glancing at Josh, then back at me. "Will you stay?" I looked at Rebecca. Her eyes were glistening, silently begging me to say yes. I pulled Lily into my arms. "I'll stay," I whispered, "as long as you need me." Josh wrapped his arms around both of us, his voice muffled. "We're not going anywhere." For the first time, Rebecca let her walls crumble. She sank to her knees beside us, pulling us all close. Her sobs were quiet, but they were real. In that fragile circle, broken pieces started to fit together. But I knew storms didn't end in a single night, and Mark's shadow wasn't gone. Not yet. That night, after Mark stormed out, none of us could sleep. Lily curled up between Josh and me on the couch, clutching my hands so tightly I couldn't move even if I wanted to. Her little breaths were uneven, like she was scared I'd disappear as she closed her eyes too long. I sat awake, staring at the dark ceiling. My chest was heavy, but not with anger. This time it was with fear. Fear of failing her. fear of letting my boy down, fear that Mark would come back stronger. Rebecca came into the room quietly, barefoot, her silk robe brushing the floor. She stood there for a long moment, watching the three of us. Then she whispered, "You should have been the father all along." I looked up, startled. Her face was softer than I'd ever seen. The icy walls finally melted. "You don't have to say that," I murmured. "I do," she said firmly, stepping closer. "Mark gave her life, but you gave her heart. I saw it tonight. Lily chose you." Her words cut through me, sharp and tender at the same time. "Rebecca," I swallowed hard. "I don't know if I can carry all of this. I'm just a man trying to keep the lights on, trying to raise my boy without messing him up. I don't have money or power or—" "You have what matters," she interrupted, her voice breaking. "You stayed, and that's more than he ever did." I didn't know what to say, so I just sat there, holding on to the children like my life depended on it. Maybe it did. The next morning, the sun streamed through the tall windows. Lily woke first, rubbing her eyes. She sat up, looked at me, then whispered, "You're still here." I smiled through the ache in my chest. "Told you I would be." Josh yawned and stretched, then ruffled her hair. "Told you my dad never breaks promises." Lily giggled, the sound light and healing. Rebecca came down the stairs, her hair messy, her eyes tired but kind. For the first time, she didn't look like a CEO. She looked like a mother. She sat on the edge of the couch and pulled Lily into her arms. "We're going to be okay," she whispered into her daughter's hair. "We're going to be okay because we're not alone anymore." Lily's small hand reached for mine, while Rebecca held her. That simple gesture, it nearly broke me. Weeks passed, and slowly life began to shift. I still worked my deliveries, but sometimes Rebecca would call and ask if I could stay for dinner. Josh and Lily started doing homework together at the big dining table. Sometimes I'd catch them whispering and laughing like siblings who'd known each other forever. One evening, Rebecca and I sat on the back porch, watching the kids chase fireflies. She handed me a cup of tea, her hands brushing mine. "You've changed everything," she said quietly. I shook my head. "I haven't done anything special." "You gave us something money can't buy," she replied. "Family." Her words sank deep. I thought about the years I spent alone, hiding my pain, just trying to make it to the next paycheck. I thought about how Josh used to sit by the window, waiting for a mother who never came back. And now he had someone laughing beside him. Now I had someone who believed in me. But the past wasn't finished testing us. Mark tried to fight. He sent letters, threats, even lawyers. But Rebecca stood her ground, and she wasn't standing alone anymore. In court, when the judge asked who Lily wanted to live with, she pointed at her mother. Then she turned, hesitated, and pointed at me. The judge smiled gently. Sounds like she already has a father figure in her life. I squeezed her hand, trying not to break down in the middle of the courtroom. Months later, something happened I never imagined. It was Lily's birthday. We had balloons, cake, and laughter echoing through the mansion. Josh handed her a gift he'd made himself, a bracelet with beads spelling out family. She hugged him so tight, I thought he might burst. Then she turned to me. "Daddy tied on my wrist?" My throat closed. She called me that. Not by mistake. Not confused. She meant it. I tied the bracelet, my hands trembling. "There," I whispered. "Perfect." Rebecca's hand slid into mine as she whispered, "Welcome home." And in that moment, I realized home wasn't a place. It wasn't a mansion or my old apartment. Home was here, with them, with family,